Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. This is day 68 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. Today's challenge is all about finding the maximum element in an array without using sorting method, okay? So let's explore this simple yet powerful technique and we shall move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have here our question along with our sample input and output, right? So let us read out the question. What is the question? We have to write a JS function to find the maximum element in an array without using sorting, right? And we have been provided with an array, correct? That is our input and we have here output as 9, okay? Now let us come down and first we will break down this question, okay? So first we have to write what? JS function, okay? So I will write here what? JS function, okay? Now let us come down and write the next important part of the question, that we have to find the maximum element in an array without using any sorting or any inbuilt method, okay? So I will take this and I will put it over here, okay? Now let us come to line number 6 and we will define our function name as what? Find max element, okay? So I will write here what? Find max element, okay? With a parenthesis. So this will be our function name, okay? Now let us come to our input and output and understand how we are reaching to this particular output, okay? Now if you see what is our array, it is 3, 4, 9, 1 and 6 and we have to find what? Maximum element, right? So we can see here that 9 is our maximum element in this particular array. You can check with any other array as well, okay? So we will have to get the maximum element from that particular array and we are not going to use any inbuilt method, no sorting, no math.max method, okay? Now let us come down and we will write here what? Our approach. So I'll write here what? Approach, okay? Now, in this question, we are going to use loop, okay? Now, why we will be using loop? Because with the help of that only, we will be iterating through the array and we will be reaching to this particular output, okay? So what first we are going to do here? First of all, we will declare a variable called as a max, okay? And we will initialize with the first element of our array. So how to get the first element of this array? It will be nothing but our ARR of 0, right? So we are going to assume it that this element is our maximum element, okay? And that is why we will store it and we will keep it here, okay? Now we will take here our I loop, okay? So I will write here what? I loop, okay? Now what we are going to do? Let us write it. So I'll write here what? For let I is equal to 1, okay? Why I is equal to 1? Because we will be comparing this particular element with the rest of the elements of the array. That is why our loop is going to start from the first index, not from the 0th index, okay? And where it will end? It will end at where? Our length minus 1, right? So I will write here what? I less than ARR dot length, correct? And we are going to increment it, correct? Now, after this, what we will be doing it, we are going to compare, okay? So we are going to compare what? Each element, okay? With whom? We will be comparing our each element with our max variable. Why max variable? Because max variable is holding our first element of our array, right? And we have assumed that that is the maximum element of that particular array, right? So that is why we are going to compare our each element with our max variable, okay? So we are going to write here what? If condition we will write, and inside that what will be our condition? We will be writing here what? Our ARR of I should be greater than our max. And if it is true, then you please update our max variable, okay? So if this condition turns out to be true, we have to update our max variable. So how it will get updated? So we are going to write here what? Max is equal to our ARR of I. That is what we will be doing it. So if an element is found greater, it means true means this particular element is greater, right? And that is why we are going to update our max variable with the ARR of I. That is what we are going to do, okay? Now let us come down and we will understand the iteration, how it is going to run and how the comparison will be performed, okay? So let us take this line number 15, 16 and 17 and we will put it inside our loop itself because it is going to happen inside our loop itself, right? Now let us start our iteration, okay? So when I is equal to 1, it is going to be true, this condition, and it will go inside this loop, right? And we will have a comparison check, right? So what is our ARR of I? ARR of I is nothing but ARR of 1, that is nothing but 4. So we will write here what? 4, and it is greater than what? Max. What is max right now? ARR of 0, right? That is nothing but 3. So I will write here 3. Now if you see, this turns out to be what? True, right? 4 is greater than 3, it is true. And that is where our max value will get updated as what? 4. So from 3 to it will become 4, okay? Then again the iteration will happen, right? So I will become what? 2. So I will write here what? 2. That time, what is our ARR of I? It is nothing but 9. So we will write here what? 9 is greater than now 4 it will come. Why? Because max value got updated, right? So it is now 4. So what we will get? Yes, true, right? Because 9 is greater than 4, right? So we will get here our max value updated as what? Max is equal to 9, correct? Now we will come down and third iteration. So when I is equal to 3, what will happen? What is the value here? 1, right? So 1 is greater than 9. So I will write here what? 1 is greater than 9. And this is going to give me what? False, right? And that is where you will get here what? Max value is equal to 9 itself, because it is not going to update, right? So I'll not write here anything. So there will be no update here, okay? Max value remains as 9. Now fourth iteration. So I will write here what? I is equal to 4. When I is equal to 4, it is 6, right? So here we are going to write here what? 6 is greater than 9. This again turns out to be what? False, right? That is where here there will be no update in the max value. So there will be, I will write here 3 hyphens. That means no update, right? Now last iteration, when I is equal to 5. So when I is equal to 5, this condition is going to fail, right? Because how many elements we have? 5 elements. So 5 is less than 5, false, right? So I will write here what? False, and here itself our loop is going to terminate. So this will be our end of our I loop, and we will get our maximum element from that particular array, or we can say the largest element from that particular array. So once the loop finishes, max variable will hold our largest element in that particular array, right? Now what we are doing it here, we are iterating through the array using a loop, right? And then what we are doing, we are assuming and initializing the max variable with the first element of the array, correct? After that, we are writing our loop, and inside this, we have done our comparison check. That is, we are comparing the each element with our max variable, and if an element is found greater, then max value will get updated, right, in the max variable, right? And once the loop finishes, our max variable will hold the largest element in the array, right? And that is where is our final approach, okay? Now, similar to this, we have solved in the previous challenge also, that is 67 challenge, right? Over there, we have found out the minimum element from that particular array, okay? So please do watch out that video as well, okay? Now let us come down and we will start writing our function, that is nothing but our findMaxElement, right? So we will come here, and what we will do, we will write here what? Function, and our function name will be what? findMaxElement, right? And we will quickly invoke it, okay? So I will write here what? findMaxElement, and in this we are going to pass our input array. So let us take it from here, and we will come here and we will put it over here, okay? Now let us come here and we will pass it here as an ARR, right? So we are receiving here as an params, right? So I will write here what? Console.log, and I will write here ARR, correct? Now let us come and test it out in the terminal. So I will write here what? Node 68 challenge, right? And we will hit enter. What we got? We got our input array. That is nothing but 34916, right? After this, what we will do, we will come here and we will assume and initialize our max variable with the first element of an array, right? So we will write here what? Let max is equal to ARR of 0, right? And after that, we will write our loop, right? So we will come here and we will write here what? For let I is equal to 1, because we have to compare our rest of the elements with our max variable value, right? That is nothing but our first element of the array, right? That is why I is equal to 1. And where it will end, I should be less than our ARR dot length, right? So I will write it like this, and it will be I plus plus because it is going to get incremented, right? Now we can test our I loop till what it is running. Okay, so we will write here what console.log of I. Okay, now come here and let us test it out in the terminal. So note day 68 challenge and hit enter. So what do we get in the terminal? We are getting 1, 2, 3, 4. That is nothing but our I value, right? So you can see here the same we have written. I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2, I is equal to 3, and I is equal to 4. When I reaches 5, this condition is failing and the loop is getting terminated, right? And that is where it is running only till 4, right? Now let us come down and we will write here what our comparison check. So I will write here what comparison check. Okay. Now we will come here and we will write our if condition, and what is the condition we have to write? That our ARR of I should be greater than max, right? So I will come here and I will write ARR of I greater than max, right? And if it is true, we have to update our max variable, right? So we will what, right? Max is equal to our ARR of I, right? That is what we are going to do it. Now let us come here and we will also print here console.log true. Let us see how many times this is getting printed as true. Okay. So let us come here and I will write here what node day 68 challenge and we will hit enter. How many times? It is printing 2 times true, right? That is what we have here written. When I is equal to 1, we are getting true, and when I is equal to 2, we are getting true, right? And rest of the time it is nothing printed, means it is getting false, right? Now let us come here outside our loop and we will print our max value. Okay, so let us write here what console.log, and I will just write here what max. Since it is getting 2 times true, that means 2 times the value will get updated, right? So first time it will become 4 and after that it will become 9. Okay, now let us see the same in the terminal we are getting or not. So I will write here what node, and I will write here what day 68 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do I got? See, I got here 9, right? So that is what it is giving me the correct output, right? If you check your output here, it has given me 9, right? Now let us come here and we will improvise this as well. So we will write here what template literals. Okay, and we will put here comma, and I will write here what maximum element in that array, and we will write our array as well. So inside and template literals, whenever we have to write an array, how do we write? We have to first use our square bracket, then dollar, and then flower braces, and then write ARR. So this only will give you in an array form, right? So we will come here and we will write here what node day 68 challenge, and let us hit enter. What do we got? We got here maximum element in that array is what 9. Okay. Now let us clear the terminal here and we will just comment this out. Let us comment this out. Let us comment this out, and let us put here colon as well. Okay. And let us save it and let us rerun it. So I will write here what node 68 challenge, and we will hit enter. Okay. What do we got? Maximum element in that array is what 9. Here we can see. Okay. Now let us come down and we can invoke it one more time. So I will write here what findMaxElement, and let us pass in another array. So I will write here first as 100. Then I will write here 200, then 500, then 67. And now let us test it. We know the output should be what 500, right? Because that is the maximum, or we can say the largest element in that array, right? So let us come here and let us print it. So I will write here what node day 68 challenge and hit enter. So what we are getting? We are getting here 500. That means what? Whatever we are going to pass here, the input array, this function is going to properly execute and it is going to give you a final output, right? Let us come here and now we will have a quick recap of this particular question. Okay. So what we have to write? We have to write a JS function to find the maximum element in an array without using sorting, right? And we did not use any math methods also for this, right? And what we have here input and output, correct? Then at line number 6 and 7, what we have done? We have understood this question and we have wrote our function name, right? Our function name is what? findMaxElement with a parenthesis, right? Then we understood that how we are reaching to this particular output, right? From this input array, and we wrote our approach also, right? So we understood that we have to take here a loop, right? And what we did then? We assumed and we initialized our max variable with the first element of an array, right? Then we wrote our loop, and our loop is starting from where I is equal to 1, correct? And then inside that, what we have done? We have done a comparison check, right? That if an element is greater than max, please update the max variable, right? That is what we have done here. And then once the loop is terminated, we will hold our largest element in that array. For the same, we understood here how the iteration is going to perform, right? We understood it will run till 4 only. When I reaches 5, it is going to terminate, right? And we also understood for this particular input array, only 2 times we are going to get true. And that is where only 2 times our max value gets updated also, right? Now the same thing we wrote inside our function also, right? Then at line number 25, we wrote our function called as a findMaxElement, and we were receiving here what? Our array, input array, right? Then at line number 26, we just consoled our array to check whether it is running properly or not, right? Then at line number 27, we assumed and initialized the max variable with the first element of that array, right? Then we came here from line number 29 to 36. What we did? We wrote here our loop, and inside that we wrote here our comparison check also, right? What was the comparison check? That it has to compare each element with the max, and if an element is greater than our max variable, then you please update it. And also the most important thing was what? We started our loop with I is equal to 1. Why? Because we want to compare our first element with the rest of our element, because we have assumed here that our first element is the maximum element, right? Then we came here at line number 37, and we wrote our console.log statement with an improvised way, right? And also we understood that if we have to write an array inside a template literal, we have to use a square bracket, dollar, flower braces, and then our array we have to write over there, right? That is what we have done. And then what we did at line number 39 and 40, we invoked this function 2 times where we passed 2 input arrays, right? And then this execution was done correctly, and we got our output. So let us clear the terminal one more time. And we will write here what? Node day 68 challenge, and I hit enter. What do we get? We got our exact output, that maximum element from this array is 9, and from maximum element from this array is what? 500. That is what this question was asking, and we have done this as well. Okay. Now I will tell you why this challenge is useful. Because it teaches us how to find the maximum element without sorting, which is faster and saves computational resources. This technique is valuable in real-world applications such as finding the highest score in dataset or identifying the largest transaction in financial data. It also strengthens our understanding of iteration and comparison logic, which are fundamental in programming. Okay. And that's all for today, guys. Try this challenge with different arrays and share your solutions in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more coding challenges. And I will see you with another exciting coding challenge in the next video. Keep coding, keep growing, and keep practicing. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.